Chapter 2. When reality tears. The ground trembled beneath my feet. I was crouched beside the 7th wagon, checking the rear axle for stress fractures. The wood felt solid under my fingers, the grain smooth and familiar. Everything was fine. Everything was always fine when I checked it properly. Then the earth shook again, and this time it didn't stop.
Earthquake?
Kieran called from 2 wagons back. I pressed my palm flat against the ground. The vibration ran up through my bones. Wrong somehow. Not the rhythmic shaking of earth settling. This felt deliberate. Purposeful. Like something was trying to claw its way out from underneath the world. The horses began to scream. Not whinny. Not snort nervously. Scream. High-pitched and terrified, the sound animals make when they know death is coming and can't escape it. I stood too fast, my head spinning. Around the caravan, people had stopped what they were doing. Master Torvin dropped the harness he was mending. Mira clutched her daughter close. Even father had gone silent, his merchant smile faltering as he looked toward the eastern horizon. The sky was bleeding. Colors that shouldn't exist leaked across the clouds like ink through water. Purple that hurt to look at. Green that tasted like metal. The air itself began to shimmer, reality wavering like heat distortion over summer stones. Then the temperature plummeted. One moment, I was sweating in the afternoon sun. The next, my breath came out in white clouds. Ice crystals formed on the wagon beside me, spreading across the wood in patterns that spiraled impossibly inward.
Everyone to the center.
Gareth's voice cut through the rising panic.
Form up now.
The dyad escorts were already moving. Ren ran past me, her face set in grim concentration. Gareth drew his sword, and even from 20 feet away, I could feel the cleaving magic begin to gather around him. Silver light traced along the blade's edge, sharp and cold and absolute. The eastern horizon cracked open. I don't know how else to describe it. The world simply split apart, a wound torn in the fabric of everything. Darkness erupted from the earth, a pillar of writhing chaos that punched upward into the sky. It twisted as it rose, spiraling like smoke but solid as stone. Colors shifting across its surface too fast to follow. The sound hit us a moment later. Reality screaming. That's what it sounded like. The noise you'd hear if you could listen to matter being unmade. If dissolution had a voice. High and low simultaneously. Notes that harmonized in ways that made my stomach clench and my teeth ache.
Outburst.
Someone shrieked. The word triggered immediate pandemonium. People ran in every direction. No coordination. Pure animal panic. A guard stumbled and fell. 2 merchants collided, both scrambling for their wagons. Father stood frozen on his cart, mouth open. All his charm and confidence shattered.
Formation.
Gareth roared.
If you run, you die.
The command in his voice stopped some people. Not all. A few kept running, sprinting away from the pillar of darkness. I watched them go, wondering distantly if they'd make it. Wondering if any of us would. The chaos pillar was spreading. Tendrils of darkness snaked out from the main column, reaching across the ground like fingers. Where they touched, the earth changed. grass turned crystalline, then melted, then reformed as something that wasn't quite plant anymore. The air above the corruption shimmered with impossible colors, and it was moving toward us.
Liv!
Kieran grabbed my arm, his face pale.
We need to move.
Where? My voice sounded distant, disconnected. Where do we go? The corruption was spreading in all directions, faster than anyone could run. Half a mile away and closing. The tendrils reached out hungrily, consuming everything they touched. Gareth had reached the edge of the caravan. He slammed his sword point first into the ground, and the earth around him cracked with silver light. Cleaving magic poured from him in waves, carving a boundary line through the dirt. Order against chaos. Rigid definition against infinite possibility.
Ren.
He shouted. She was already there, hands weaving patterns in the air. Rainbow threads of binding magic spiraled out from her fingers, wrapping around Gareth's barrier and amplifying it. Where the two magics met, they merged, creating something stronger than either could produce alone. A dome began to form. It grew from Gareth's sword like crystal, transparent and glittering with both silver and rainbow light. The barrier expanded outward in a perfect hemisphere, enclosing the caravan in a shell of stabilized reality.
Get inside!
Ren's voice was strained.
Everyone under the dome now!
People scrambled forward, abandoning wagons and cargo in their desperation to reach safety. I ran too, pulling Kieran with me. We dove under the barrier just as it sealed closed overhead. Inside the dome, the air felt normal. The temperature stabilized. The sounds from outside became muted, filtered through the magical barrier like noise heard underwater. Outside, the world was ending. The corruption reached us in a wave of writhing darkness. It crashed against Gareth's barrier with physical force, sending cracks of silver rainbow light shooting across the dome's surface. The sound was deafening, metal grinding against metal, glass shattering, reality itself protesting. Through the translucent barrier, I watched the chaos consume everything beyond. The abandoned wagons dissolved first. Wood rotted and reformed as something organic, pulsing like flesh. Metal melted into liquid that flowed upward instead of down, defying gravity, reshaping itself into structures that hurt to perceive. Then I saw Master Theron. He had been running for the dome, but hadn't made it. Now he stood just outside the barrier, frozen mid-stride. His skin had gone translucent, hardening into crystal. I could see through him, see the bones inside his glass body, see his lungs stopped mid-breath. His eyes were still moving. They tracked frantically from side to side, the only part of him that could still move. He was aware, conscious, trapped inside his own crystallized body while the chaos raged around him. Someone beside me started screaming. More people were changing outside the dome. Darren, one of Father's guards, fell to his knees as his flesh began to bubble. His face elongated, jaw unhinging as his mouth stretched impossibly wide. Black marks spread across his skin like living tattoos, writhing and reforming. He tried to scream, but the sound that came out wasn't human anymore. Then he dissolved. His body came apart like smoke, solid matter unraveling into shadow. The darkness laughed with his voice, a terrible sound that was half recognition, half madness. The shadow thing that had been Darren flickered between states, sometimes almost human, sometimes just a cackling void shaped like a man.
Don't look.
Father said beside me. His voice was shaking.
Liv, don't look at them.
But I couldn't stop looking. Couldn't stop watching as people I knew, people I had shared meals with, people who had trusted me to get them home safely, transformed into nightmares. The horses were worse. Their bodies burst and reformed, flesh rippling like water. Legs multiplied. Extra heads sprouted from shoulders. Eyes opened in places eyes shouldn't exist. They screamed with human voices now. Words almost recognizable beneath the animal sounds. One of them charged the barrier. It had been a mare named Sunset, gentle and old. Now it was a thing with 6 legs and mouths where its eyes should be. It slammed into the dome at full speed, and the impact sent shockwaves through the barrier. Gareth grunted in pain. Blood trickled from his nose. Beside him, Wren swayed, her face gray with strain.
They can't hold this forever.
Torvin said quietly. He stood near me, his sword drawn. Though what use a mundane blade would be against chaos corruption I couldn't imagine. How long? I asked.
I don't know. Minutes, maybe. Hours, if we're lucky.
He watched the dyad with professional assessment.
They're burning through reserves fast. This kind of convergence magic isn't meant to be sustained.
Around the dome, more corrupted creatures gathered. Things that had been animals, that had been people. They circled like predators, drawn to the barrier's order, desperate to break it and spread the chaos further. The pillar of darkness at the center of the outburst had stopped growing. It stood like a monument to reality's failure, spiraling up into the sky, twisting slowly, bleeding impossible colors. Then it pulsed. A wave of corruption exploded outward from the pillar, a visible ripple of chaos energy. It rolled across the landscape like water, transforming everything it touched. When it hit the dome, the barrier screamed. Cracks appeared across the surface. Silver rainbow light flickered. Gareth fell to one knee, his sword shaking in his grip. Wren collapsed entirely, caught by one of the guards before she hit the ground.
It's failing.
Someone shouted. Panic rippled through the survivors. People pressed toward the center of the dome, away from the walls. A woman started praying loudly. A child cried for her mother, who was somewhere outside, probably dead or worse. Father grabbed my shoulders.
Liv, listen to me. If the barrier falls, you run. Do you understand? You run and you don't look back.
Father.
Promise me.
I had never seen him look like this. All the jovial confidence stripped away, leaving only a terrified man trying to save his daughter. I promise. I lied. Another pulse hit the barrier. More cracks appeared. Through them, tendrils of corruption began to seep in, thin streams of chaos leaking through the failing dome. Where the corruption touched the ground inside the barrier, the earth began to change. Grass crystallized. Dirt liquefied. A patch near my feet started growing eyes.
We need to reinforce.
Gareth was on his feet again, sword raised, pouring more magic into the failing barrier. But I could see it wasn't enough. He was one man. Wren was unconscious. The corruption was infinite. We were going to die here. The thought came with strange clarity. All my planning, All my careful calculations, all the logistics and preparation and responsibility, none of it mattered. The numbers didn't work when reality itself stopped following rules. Another pulse. The barrier shattered completely in one section, a gap opening like a wound in the dome's wall. Corruption poured through, a stream of liquid darkness. It caught one of the merchants. Old Henrik, who always complained about his knees. The chaos hit him like a wave, and his screams were immediate. His body began to change, bones cracking and reforming, skins splitting and re-knitting into new shapes. Gareth moved. He was there in a heartbeat, sword swinging in a clean arc. The blade, channeling pure cleaving magic, cut through Henrik's neck, through the corruption, through the transformation itself. Henrik's head hit the ground. His body followed a moment later. Both were normal. Human. Dead, but not transformed.
Mercy.
Gareth said quietly. Then louder.
Anyone who's touched by the corruption, I will grant mercy. Tell me now or forever. Hold your peace.
No one spoke. But I saw several people touch their arms, their faces, checking for signs of exposure. A woman near the back was crying silently, staring at black marks spreading across her hand. The barrier was failing everywhere now. Cracks spider-webbed across the entire surface. More tendrils leaked through. The dome wouldn't last another minute. I looked at the chaos pillar, at the spreading corruption, at the creatures that had been my caravans circling outside. This was it. This was how my story ended. Not married to some merchant's son, not running caravans until I was old. Here. Now. Dissolved into shrieking shadow or frozen in crystalline horror. At least it would be interesting. The thought surprised me with its bitterness. All my life, I had wanted something extraordinary to happen. Careful what you wish for. The pillar pulsed again, and the world went white with chaos.